In the eyes of others, they are invincible venomous symbionts, but in private, they are a happy couple. This day, the two had another fight. Eddie blamed Venom's presence for disrupting his life. Venom, on the other hand, said that he had made Eddie what he was. They got more and more heated. Venom's temper got the better of him.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please let me fix it. Fucking bring it again.
Eddie was pissed off too. Furious, Venom dragged Eddie around the room. After a tumultuous fight, Venom wanted to throw Eddie's TV away. Eddie wanted to drop Venom's pet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eddie was devastated. Angry, Eddie pulls Venom's tongue. Venom leans back and drops Eddie. Eddie finally explodes. He grabbed his helmet and smashed it into Venom, smashing a row of teeth together. Venom backhanded Eddie and flipped him over, and pushes him up to the ceiling. In a fit of anger, Eddie turns on the alarm. The ear-splitting sound caused the Venom to detach from Eddie's body. It took hold of the passerby. Without Venom, Eddie felt a sense of peace like never before. But he wasn't happy for long. Strange noises came from outside the window. Before he left, Venom gave Eddie an international gesture. Despite his outward bravado, but he wouldn't have survived long without Eddie. After draining many hosts in quick succession, it came to the masquerade party, and attached itself to a passerby. Venom was instantly the center of attention here. She got the treatment she dreamed of, but she's still thinking about Eddie. She wanted Eddie to come and apologize to her sooner. On the other side, serial killer Casade's execution began in front of his victims' families. The execution began.
Enjoy the show!
But as the drugs were slowly injected, a strange thing happened. The injected drug was pushed out by the blood. Cassidy also began to twitch wildly, and numerous bright red filaments emerged from his body. They gradually formed tentacles. He attacked the police officers around him. All the family members outside fled in a panic. The next second, two huge red hands pulled down the metal door, and then, the bloody massacre was on. The warden was the first person he wanted to kill, but the head that was about to be taken, only to be interrupted by an alarm behind him. Slaughter waved it away. The escaped warden scrambles down the corridor, and Slaughter's time to hunt and kill is just now beginning. The arriving guards shoot to intercept. The Slaughter changes form in an instant, returning all the bullets fired. Taking out the guards in front of him, Slaughter takes down the cell door one by one, releasing the rest of the prisoners. The guards, unable to escape, put up a final fight, but in the face of absolute power, their resistance was only a headache. The prisoners cheered him on, and then the massacre began to unleash a great move. The last warden was executed. The warden was dragged into the storm.
Any last words, Warden? No!
After the warden was finished, Slaughter escaped from the prison with Kasani. They used the internet to find out where their girlfriend's screen was being held. They then infiltrated the lab without a word. They took out their girlfriend's attending doctor. Cassidy finally saw the screen he'd been waiting for. He couldn't wait to wrap his arms around the cell. With just a flick of his tentacles, the cell was instantly crushed. With the help of the carnage, the two of them burst out of the lab without a hitch, jumping into Screech's favorite Mustang. At that moment, a large group of cops caught up with them. Screech puts it in reverse gear, and slammed on the gas, then a tailspin in a fierce chase with the police car behind them. Cassidy saw the situation was bad. Reaching out with his tentacles, he lifts the car into the air, then he turns into a carnage. He started to clean up the mess. At that moment a helicopter flew over. Slaughter grabs a car and deflects the incoming bullets. However, the unwitting screamer unleashes a big move. The maneuver destroyed the helicopter, but it also almost killed Slaughter, but Cassidy was there to stop it. The two of them drove out of the yard in their sports car. Slaughter took one look. The helicopter in front of them was destroyed in an instant. The sheriff looked at the mess the carnage had left. He immediately decided that Eddie had something to do with it, so he had him taken to the interrogation room. Eddie realized the seriousness of the situation, so he called his ex-girlfriend Annie. He asked him to help him find Venom. Annie knew that Venom liked chocolate, so she went to Mrs. Chan's shop, but after a few words, he noticed something was wrong.
You get out here right now!
But the arrogant Venom didn't want to see Eddie, so Annie took a different approach. In a matter of seconds, she had Venom in her sights.
Let's go save that asshole.
And, just as Eddie was getting worried, Annie walked in confidently. Eddie rushed to ask how Venom was doing, but Annie smiled wickedly. Venom then escaped from the station with Eddie in his arms. On the other side, Cassidy and Screech, who had just escaped, were planning a bloody wedding, and the people they were going to invite were all their enemies. Cassidy then turns into a mass murderer. He kidnaps the sheriff. Screech kidnapped Annie, and left a note for Annie's fiancé, and told him to give it to Eddie. Having done so, the two began their bloody wedding in a dilapidated church. They began their bloody wedding, but just as they were about to confess their love, Venom came in out of nowhere. The Slaughter immediately emerged, ready for the final battle.
Yes!